And whatever he opens remains open, and whatever he closes remains closed. King of the universe, God of all gods. Don't you love his authority? Now, the question is, what doors does he open for us? What doors does he open? And the answer to that question is, first of all, the door of salvation. The door of salvation. In fact, in John chapter 10, he says, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. The context has to do with sheep and shepherds. He is the door. And there is no other way to the Father except through that door. You say, well, Pastor Lutzer, what about Peter? Peter was given the keys to the kingdom, wasn't he? Well, Peter, yes, he was. And what did that signify? Authority. Because the gospel was going to go into new areas where it had never been before. For example, Peter preaches the gospel on the day of Pentecost to the Jews. 3,000 are converted. And then Peter goes in the 8th chapter of Acts to the Samaritans, to the half-breeds who were despised by the Jews. And he's involved there in sharing the gospel with them. And then you get to the 10th and the 11th chapter, and he is sharing the gospel with the Gentiles. So he has the keys in the sense that he's opening up doors of ministry and evangelization for the glory of God. But Jesus here has the keys back. Any keys that you and I were to use, those are really a derived kind of authority. It is Jesus who has the keys to the kingdom, and the keys that will open and will shut. Now that means, quite frankly, that there is no room in the universe where Jesus Christ is excluded. He can go anywhere. There is no country where Jesus is excluded. He can go anywhere. Sometimes in missions we speak about closed countries. What we mean is that missionaries can't be there. But even if missionaries are barred, Jesus can be there, and he is there. This past weekend I was speaking at a conference on apologetics, that is to do with the defense of one's faith. I met someone who would be known to most of you, and I will not mention his name, who is devoting his entire life now to work among the Muslims and the Muslim communities, not just in America, but around the world. The stories that he told me were unbelievable. He told me that in various websites where they do, by the way, the discipleship, a lot of it is done through the web, that thousands of Muslims are turning to Christ. And I heard this from someone else, that even in Iran, which is the country that receives so much play in the news, that there may be 1 million converts to Jesus Christ in Iran today. Isn't that good news? I need to explain to you that many of these are coming to Christ, not all, but many of them, because of dreams that they have. Dreams about Jesus. It's amazing. But let me tell you about those dreams, just so that you get some clarification. When I was teaching up at Trinity, I was teaching a course, Trinity Seminary, I met a young man who was a convert from Islam to Christianity. In fact, his story was so unique, I actually had it recorded. He was living in Jerusalem, and one night he had a dream about Jesus, and he could not get out of bed the next morning. In fact, he was just paralyzed. He could not move. It was as if he was pinned against the bed. And he said then, he prayed to Jesus and said, Jesus, if you let me get out of bed, I'll find out about you. Well, with that, he was able to get out of bed. And what did he do? He found someone who had a Bible, and he began to read the Bible and was converted. It's interesting that these dreams do not convert anyone. They only point to the Word of God. You remember that story of the Persians, the 3 wise men? The star did not take them immediately to Bethlehem. The star took them to Jerusalem. And it was at Jerusalem that the scribes opened the Scriptures, and it is there that they said, based on Micah's prophecy, it is there that they said that the Messiah was to be born. And then the wise men They began their journey to Bethlehem, and then the star reappeared. You know what God says is, I'm never going to convert anyone by bypassing my word. The dreams awaken you to Jesus, but it is my word that does the converting.
Oh, yes, my friend, this is Pastor Lutzer, and that's why it's so important that if you have an unbeliever in your home, or someone at work who claims to be an atheist, what you do is you give them a copy of the New Testament and tell them to read, for example, the Gospel of John 10 minutes a day for 21 days. And to answer the simple question, who is Jesus? We have to get people into the Word, and when that happens, the Word of God does the work. Well, we believe that, and we'll see you next time.
That was Erwin Lutzer introducing When Jesus Observes Our Vision, his 7th message on what Jesus thinks of his church, taken from Revelation chapter 3. Monday, more about that open door which no man can shut. Running to Win comes to you from the Moody Church in Chicago. We all need to know what Jesus thinks of his church, and this entire series will be sent on CD as our thank you when you give a gift of any amount to support Running to Win. Just call us at 1-800-215-5001. That's 1-800-215-5001. Online, go to offerrtw.com. That's offerrtw, all one word, .com. Or write to us at Running to Win, Box 11174, Chicago, Illinois 60611. This is Dave McAllister. Join us Monday for our next Running to Win.